Hey folks, and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel and our search for the best truck of 2022. In today's video, we're going to talk all about the 2022 Toyota Tundra. We've already had a chance to work with this truck. You can see that in another video here on the channel. In this video, we want to really dive into the details. Did Toyota really do enough here? And why is the new Tundra the way it is? Plus, will it really hold up for the next 7 years? These are all things we're going to dive into right now. So let's talk Tundra, but first, just a little bit on what we're doing. We are taking all of the 2022 trucks that we get here at Truck King, and we're putting out 2 videos on them. One video is out there in the field, hauling trailers and towing payload, and then this video series is more about breaking down how we ended up with that truck and where the truck sits in the segment.
We don't tow payload. It's okay. He'll be all right. we hauled payload and towed trailers.
Okay, gotcha. Whatever he said. But the point is, these videos give us the chance to really kind of dive into the inside baseball, if you will, behind these trucks. And now we're going to talk about the Tundra. So the first question we ask is, did Toyota do enough with this new Tundra? And on the gut check answer to me, Dad, is yes, absolutely yes. But even more in depth than that, the feeling I've got from this truck is that they did a lot and they made sure it's future-proofed for the next 7 years, because Toyota is on a clockwork schedule. Every 7 years, the truck gets a redesign. And that's how I feel about it. Is not only is it good today, but it's going to be good a few years from now.
They did what they had to do, but they also did it from a point of view of a white sheet of paper. Okay, that engine, that V6 twin turbo, is not something that they grafted onto an existing engine. It's from the block up. It's new. I've been doing more reading about it since we got it, and the thing that impressed me is that the big problem with turbos has always been heat. How do you dissipate the heat? And heat, of course, is the enemy. And in this particular instance, the engineers, starting with that aluminum block, created 2 levels of cooling within that block. They also cross-hatched all the intakes and the ports. So everything about it is getting cooling right down to a ring around the spark plugs. So I appreciate what Toyota does, and I know a lot of guys are lamenting the V8 going away, but the reality is more power, folks, more power and less fuel. It's going to take you a little while to get used to the idea, but I think they've hit a home run here.
And I will mostly agree with you, but the one thing we also have to talk about is how they got to this new truck. Because what's interesting is, if they gave Chief Engineer Mike Sweers a blank piece of paper, the Tundra would still have a V8, would probably still have leaf springs. He's very much a traditional truck guy. He likes those old school technologies. That's not what happened here. Basically, Toyota said, we need this truck to share its platform with the Land Cruiser. Probably because, efficiencies, right? They want to save a couple bucks. So doing that meant that Mike had to deal with the fully boxed frame, which is probably one of the biggest changes, rather than open C in the rear end. So again, that's why I think they went to that suspension, and sort of the entire makeup of the truck is based on the fact that, it now shares its platform with the Land Cruiser. Is it a bad thing? I don't think so. I think most guys, if I didn't tell you that, you probably wouldn't know. But I guess what I'm saying here is, I do think a lot of the technologies were kind of pushed onto the engineers by Toyota bean counters saying, we need to save money and this is how we're going to do it. That was my sense of it.
It's more than sense, because Mike went ahead and told us that. And frankly, a lot of people won't tell you that. Every engineer is constrained by a budget. Anybody who says that they have carte blanche is lying. Okay, they have numbers that they have to meet, and they're told that they can only use certain parts, and they're told that they have to reuse certain frames or other components. So Mike was just a little more honest than most in saying, look, I had to deal with a frame that was also going to work for an international vehicle. Okay, but you know what? He made the best of it. And from what I can see, and from what I've felt driving it, it works. So good on him. Mm-hmm. So apart from what did Toyota do to this half-ton Tundra, it plays in the single most competitive truck market ever, right? It's got to go up against Ford, it's got to go up against GM and Ram. So the question is, how does it fit into that marketplace?
And I think the answer, first of all, that is very differently than the last Tundra did. When the Tundra went away, we talked about how that truck, it became the old school choice in the segment. If you weren't worried about technology, if you weren't worried about fancy trailering systems, you went to the Tundra because it was old school proven technology. That can't be said of this new Tundra. This thing has gone fully high tech. And I'm not just talking about the turbos. It does have some of that fancy backup technology. It has a camera technology that will let you see underneath the truck. So I definitely think we have to forget about the Tundra as this old dinosaur now. And we have to think of it as a kind of a cutting edge, high tech truck. And within that realm, yeah, I think it competes with everything out there today. And I said this before, I do think it's going to stay competitive for a couple of years. And the one other thing we have to talk about is that rear suspension. And it's just like a Ram now, no more leaf springs. And that's going to add to the sort of empty on-road ride, which I also think was a good area for the Tundra to improve in. So now I'll put it back to you, Dad. Where do you think Tundra really fits into the half-ton landscape?
Well, there's two things that come to mind for me. First of all, the interior of the Tundra still maintains this overall work-related type focus. They've got everything that everybody else does, but it doesn't come off as this uber luxury truck. Even the 1794 trim, very, very nice trim package, but you still have the sense that they're not out there. I mean, if anybody is doing that right now, Ford's top trims, Ram, they're really just creating this fantastic, fabulous interior. Tundra seems to have sort of steered away from that. Instead, and going by what the kind of things like people like Swears talks about, they're just so much focused on work. Towing. We spent so much time talking to Toyota about towing, so you know it's on their mind. And when that sort of thing is uppermost, then they're less focused on making sure that you've got, I don't know, premium deep pile carpeting inside the cab. And I'm okay with that because that gives you that sort of choice. And now the second part of this answer is that we've been reading between the lines. We've been watching the news releases, and we're seeing that more Tacoma production is heading towards Mexico. And as of next year, it's pretty much all going to go to Mexico, which appears to say that they're going to open up some production space in San Antonio, despite the fact that Sequoia is also going to be built there. And so I think that the future tellers at Toyota are saying we're going to sell more Tundras this time around because they're getting ready to be able to up their production. So we'll see if I'm right.
Yeah, and I hope you are, because that's been something we've talked about for years, is that Toyota sells every Tundra they built, and maybe they could have sold more, but I think, Toyota HQ basically said, no, this is the number we're comfortable selling, let's leave it there. But now it looks like they might try to push and gain some more market share. And heck, you know what, with Nissan Titan kind of backing out, maybe that's what they're seeing, an opportunity to pick up a couple sales.
Last thought for all those guys that always write in and say, where's the diesel, where's the 3/4 ton? If they keep selling more half tons, that will grow the case to bring in more production with more models and more powertrains. Let's just do most favorite, least favorite on the 2022 Tundra. For me, first one, the seats. For someone of wider proportions, that is a very, very comfortable seat. The bolsters really work. They don't pinch my back. Least favorite, the new nose on the Tundra. Not the look of it, the simple fact that it goes out and drops like a waterfall and creates more of a blind spot for me as far as what's up in front of the truck. Now, thankfully, he doesn't leave his tricycles on the driveway anymore, but nevertheless, I have a tendency to always want to back up first to make sure there isn't something in front of the truck. What about you?
Well, looking at it, I think my favorite feature is the 2-stage tow haul. No one's ever done that before. Basically, Toyota says under 5,000 pounds, use regular tow haul, over 5,000 use tow plus. And even in our testing, we demonstrated that tow plus, it actually makes a difference. It makes the truck quicker off the line. And like Dad said, we are obviously focused on towing here on the channel. So I just love that manufacturers really put that time and effort into towing. And then my least favorite one, maybe it's controversial, I don't know. It's actually that composite bed. I think there's a lot of advantages there, but the disadvantages are it's really slippery. That one always bugs me. And I know you can just put a bed mat or plywood, but it's so much nicer to have steel and then put the spray in on it. And the initial cost, the price of the truck went up, and I think some of that is composite bed. That's more expensive to put on there than steel. I don't know why they thought that was necessary for every single Tundra. They probably could have made it an option, but I don't know how you guys feel about it. And now, of course, it's time for you to let us know. So why don't you go in the comments now. Let us know what you think of the new Tundra. Let us know what you think of our testing and our Truck of the Year series. And I think, unless Dad has something else to add, I think we're all done on the new Tundra. Now it is time for us to get your thoughts, so please go below in the comments. Let us know what you think of the Tundra, of our testing, and what you think the Truck of the Year is going to be for 2022. As always, while you are down below, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of the channel, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next. See ya.
And remember, I read every comment, so be nice.